Formula One is back this weekend for the hugely popular United States Grand Prix, and there's no shortage of tension, both on and off the track. The title fight is hotter than ever between the McLaren teammates, with Oscar Piastri leading Lando Norris by just 22 points. But make no mistake, Max Verstappen, the reigning four-time champion, is coming off 2 wins and a second-place finish in the last 3 races. And even though he's 63 points behind, he's showing he's still in this fight. And to spice things up even more, the weekend in Austin will feature the sprint format, meaning a precious 33 points are up for grabs for each driver, instead of the usual 25. The action kicks off this Friday, so stay tuned. The only free practice session of the weekend takes place today at 1:30 p.m. New York time. And the adrenaline keeps pumping at 5:30 p.m. New York time with qualifying for Saturday's sprint race following the traditional SQ1, SQ2, and SQ3 format. It'll be the first chance to see who has the best pace at the Circuit of the Americas. But while the battle heats up on the track, the Formula One paddock is on fire. One of the hottest rumors in recent weeks involves Christian Horner and a potential move to Ferrari. Since his departure from Red Bull after the British Grand Prix, ending a 20-year stint in charge, Horner's future has been the subject of intense speculation. He is currently on gardening leave, but could return to the grid as early as next spring. Several teams have been mentioned as possible destinations. Aston Martin and Haas confirmed preliminary talks but stated that discussions did not progress. Now, Ferrari's name is emerging strongly, even with current team principal Fred Vasseur having signed a contract extension earlier this year. And someone who didn't like this story one bit was Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time champion, in his first and difficult season with the Scuderia, labeled the speculation a distraction for the team. In an interview in Austin, Hamilton was direct. "I don't know where the rumors have come from, so I can't really shed much light on it, but it's a little bit distracting for us as a team." He reinforced that Ferrari has already made its position clear by re-signing Vasseur, and that everyone's focus is on the future, especially on the 2026 car when new technical regulations come into play. Hamilton, who is still chasing his first podium with the Maranello team, stressed that these rumors aren't helpful at all and that everyone at the factory is working hard and focused. For him, the goal is to continue building a solid foundation this year to ensure better execution and overall performance next year. It's in moments like these that we realize how the mental game and a team's stability are crucial in Formula One. And so you don't miss a single detail or any in-depth analysis like this, subscribe right now to Formula News USA and hit that like button. By doing so, you ensure you'll get all our content and you also help us grow. Your subscription is the fuel that keeps us going. And speaking of helping us out, comment below what city you're watching from. We'd love to know how far our passion for F1 is reaching. This is also super important for the YouTube algorithm to understand that our content is relevant and recommended to more people. Now you tell me, what do you think about these rumors of Horner at Ferrari? Does it make sense, or is it all just smoke? Diving deeper into the Christian Horner issue, Lewis Hamilton was even more emphatic during the FIA press conference in Austin. He made it clear he won't entertain rumors. When asked if there was any truth to the rumors and whether it would be a good idea to appoint Horner as Ferrari's team boss, Hamilton was firm. "I don't, and I'm not going to entertain rumors." This strong stance from the 7-time champion shows how much the environment within Ferrari seems to be shielded from external interference. The team moved quickly to end the uncertainty over Vasseur's future, announcing a new multi-year deal in July, on the eve of the Hungarian Grand Prix. For Hamilton, and apparently for Ferrari itself, the message is clear. The leadership is set and the focus is entirely on the work ahead. Sources close to Horner suggest he is seeking a broader team ownership style role for his F1 comeback, something that would be highly unlikely to be granted with the level of control he would want at Ferrari. Therefore, although his name carries weight and his exit from Red Bull, a settlement worth a reported $100 million, shook the paddock, his move to Maranello seems more like media speculation than a real possibility at the moment. Hamilton appears to know this and is more concerned with the tangible problems at hand. And speaking of problems, he recalled a moment of pure tension at the Singapore Grand Prix. Hamilton described the final laps at Marina Bay, where he suffered a brake failure on his Ferrari, as nerve-wracking. "The last few laps were definitely nerve-wracking," he said. "I've finished one race in the past on 3 tires, and I've now finished a race with 3 brakes. But it is definitely not something I want to experience again." The failure occurred as he was trying to pressure Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli. The brake pedal simply went straight to the floor, with no response. Unable to stop the car, Hamilton had no choice but to cut through the runoff areas to make the corners. The move resulted in a 5-second penalty from the FIA, which dropped him from 7th to 8th place, promoting his old rival, Fernando Alonso. Hamilton, however, accepted the penalty without issue, stating it was fine, and that the position change doesn't make a big difference to him. But if one side of the Ferrari garage is talking about external distractions and on-track scares, the other side is also focused on the future as well. Charles Leclerc, Hamilton's teammate, has also had to deal with a wave of speculation. Rumors of his departure gained traction after he gave a downbeat assessment of the team's chances of winning a race this season, stating that the SF25 does not have the race car to fight with the guys in front. To complicate matters, his manager, Nicholas Todd, made a statement that sounded like a warning. "Charles is one of the best talents of his generation. He's not a kid anymore. We need a winning car." In response, Leclerc was firm. In Austin, he reaffirmed his commitment to the Italian team. "What I can say is what I've always said, and that's very clear," he declared. "I've always loved Ferrari so much, and my only obsession at the moment is to win in red, whether it's now or in the future. And I want to bring back Ferrari to the top." Leclerc also expressed his annoyance with the number of rumors, which he considers baseless. "I feel like there are too many people speaking things not coming from actual facts, and it's just a little bit annoying," he vented. He acknowledges that the performance isn't at the desired level, but assures that the team is united and focused on turning the situation around. For Leclerc, just like for Hamilton, the focus is on the internal work, not the external noise. Charles Leclerc doesn't just dismiss the rumors, he expresses genuine optimism about Ferrari's future. When asked about the reason for his confidence, even amidst disappointing results, the Monegasque driver was clear: "Because I know the people." He explained that the team is pushing massively to improve its processes and ways of working. The arrival of new people with different mindsets and work methods also fuels his hope. Leclerc sees next year, with the major regulation overhaul, as a crucial turning point. While he admits that some competitors brought recent upgrades that made Ferrari seem to have lost some performance, he views it as a strategic choice, hoping the decision to focus on the future will pay off in the midterm, speaking about the beginning of next year. It's a long-term bet, and Leclerc seems fully on board. While Ferrari tries to manage its drivers' futures and fend off controversies, the situation at McLaren is very different but equally complex. The title fight between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri is at the center of attention, especially after their contact on the first lap in Singapore. This incident brought the team's so-called papaya rules into the spotlight. And the person who decided to weigh in on the matter was none other than Max Verstappen. The 4-time champion, with his direct style, suggested that McLaren made things unnecessarily complicated for themselves. If you leave the door slightly open like Oscar did in Singapore, then you might end up in a situation like that, Verstappen analyzed. But on the other hand, they kind of created this themselves by trying so hard to make everything equal with certain actions. In Max's view, it's impossible to manage a title fight with complete fairness from the pit wall. You know, a championship is never 100% fair when it comes to certain moments. Sometimes you get a bad pit stop, sometimes an engine breaks. You can't really balance that out, I think, he commented. When an Autosport reporter noted that he would never accept such interventions, Verstappen laughed and shot back. "No, but then we probably wouldn't be that close in points anyway," implying his lead would be much larger if he were in the McLaren. For him, the solution is simple. You just have to try and make sure you don't end up in a situation like that. Verstappen even joked about how his father, Jos, would handle the situation, saying he'd be a good team principal. "I think it's actually good for a lot of people to get a kick in the ass sometimes," Max laughed. "I think my dad would be a good team boss, also in F1, but he doesn't want that." When it was suggested that Jos would quickly deal with the papaya rules, Max agreed. "Yeah, there wouldn't be any rules at all. You just have to put your right foot down. I know exactly what my dad is like." On the other side of the coin, Lando Norris believes all the focus on McLaren's rules is blown out of proportion by outsiders. "I think that's just your opinion on the outside," he said. "Internally, it's pretty simple. You think there's this big amount of rules and all these things, but there's not. There's very little, and it's very simple." Norris insists that the public perception gets worse because drivers, by nature, question every decision over the radio. Like Andrea Stella says a lot of the time, we still always have the right to question it. We're never going to just go around because I think it's just a racing driver's mind. Norris concluded confidently, "I still stand by the fact that I'm confident that Andrea, Oscar, and all of us together are confident that our approach is better than other people's." And the proof that McLaren's approach, as debated as it may be, seeks an internal balance came with the resolution of the Singapore incident. Lando Norris revealed that after the inevitable talks, the team held him accountable for what happened. "The team held me accountable for what happened, which I think is fair," Norris explained. "Then we made progress from there on understanding what the repercussions were for myself and to avoid something, let's say, definitely avoid anything worse happening than what did." He admitted there are consequences for his actions, though he didn't detail what they were. Norris reinforced that the #1 rule is not to crash with your teammate, and even though the contact was minor, it's something everyone wants to avoid to prevent controversy. However, he also let his racing instincts show. "There was a gap, and I went for it. Nothing changes from how we go racing." From Oscar Piastri's side, satisfaction with how the team handled the situation was clear. He confirmed the discussions were very productive and that it was made clear to everyone that the incident is not how McLaren wants its drivers to race. "Lando has taken responsibility for that, and so has the team," Piastri said, dispelling any rumors of preferential treatment. "I'm very happy that there's no favoritism or bias." He also showed maturity in understanding why the team didn't order a position swap during the race, acknowledging that in a live situation, it's very, very difficult to analyze that. Responsibility was placed on Norris after the race, with more data and cool heads, and for Piastri, that was enough. McLaren's driver management has become a hot topic in the paddock, and other drivers have shared their opinions. Carlos Sainz, a former McLaren driver, now with Williams, backed McLaren's decision not to allow a completely gloves-off fight. He used the example of Mercedes in their dominant years, when they could afford to let their drivers battle more freely. The situation is different now. Whenever the championship can go away to a different team, a different driver, you need to respect that and be a bit more careful, Sainz stated, reminding everyone that Max Verstappen is still a real threat. On the other hand, Alpine's Pierre Gasly has a different view. For him, with the Constructors' Championship already secured by McLaren, the team should give its drivers free rein. "I think we'll all be happy to see them race freely with each other," Gasly said. "We're talking about a world championship. You want it to be decided in the cockpit and on the racetrack." And so, with the stage set in Texas, we have a McLaren trying to balance the grid's biggest internal rivalry, a Ferrari seeking stability amidst rumours, and a Verstappen ready to pounce. The United States GP promises to be another thrilling chapter in this season. What do you think of how McLaren is handling its drivers? Are they right to keep a tight rein, or should they follow Gasly's advice and let the lions loose? Leave your opinion in the comments below. Let's debate it. If you enjoyed this complete breakdown and want to keep receiving the best Formula One content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Your engagement is what fuels this channel. Every subscription, every like, and every comment helps us grow and reach more F1 fans just like you. Building this community is our #1 goal, and we can only do it with your support. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.